Welcome, Bitcoin fam, to the #1 Daily Bitcoin Pod. Happy Monday, fun day. Markets are pumping. Yesterday we tapped 107. Last night we corrected down to 102, and we're right back at roughly 106 at the time of the live stream. And today's show, I'll be sharing the latest Bitcoin technical analysis and quoting Max Keiser. Senator Lummis is right to avoid shitcoiners, exit scamming the American people by dumping pre-mine XRP garbage on unsuspecting noobs, referencing Brad Garlinghouse's post that basically Cynthia Lummis has ghosted him and won't do a meeting. Hilarious. We'll also be discussing strategy. Add 7,390 Bitcoin for 765 million. However, they just got hit with a class action lawsuit. We'll be breaking this down, as well as Metaplanet scoops 1,004 Bitcoin in their second biggest Bitcoin buy of all time. Also, Bitcoin may kill the Satoshi. According to Jack Dorsey, we'll be sharing this latest controversy, as well as U.S. crypto funds top 7.5 billion worth of inflows in 2025 as investor appetite continues to grow. Also, the big news, Panama introduces a bill to allow citizens to buy, sell, and accept Bitcoin freely anywhere in the country. Bitcoin adoption is sweeping the globe. Let's go. That's right. And the Max and Stacy effect is going global, says Max. Panama introduces the Bitcoin bill. El Salvador was just the beginning. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market. All this plus so much more in today's show. If you're new to the channel, very important, smash the likes, go ahead, subscribe with the #1 Daily Bitcoin Pod, then ring the bell, turn on all notifications to receive daily premium crypto news alerts every single day, 7 days a week, just like this. Today is pod episode 1996. I'm your host, JV. It's May 19th, 2025. Markets are ripping like the new Scottie Pippen. We're literally within striking distance from price discovery, which means higher numbers are on the way. We could break it at any moment. Hopefully we do it during today's live stream, and we may flip this mofo into a pump watch, being there's so much bullish momentum in the markets right now. But let's kick it off with our market watch, as we do each and every day. It's a beautiful thing to see everything back in the green. I'd expect nothing less. Ether's up 5%. Bitcoin back above 105.5 at the time of the live stream. We did touch above 107 as the high yesterday, and that's the highest price action we have seen since January, when we hit the current all-time high of 109.3, which was back on inauguration day for the Trumpster. And loading up CoinMarketCap, as you can see here, the crypto market cap breaking out, 3.34 trillion. Bitcoin market cap about to reclaim 2.1 trillion, which is a bullish sign. And as far as volume, we have 147 billion worth of volume for the past 24 hours. Bitcoin dominance on the climb, 63% even, with the Ether dominance at 9.1%. Checking out top 100 crypto gainers past 24 hours. We have decentralized lending protocol Aave leading the pack, up roughly 9% on the day, followed by Ether, up 6%, followed by Optimism, up 5%. Are you bullish on any of these alts? Let me know. And checking out the crypto bubbles for the day, it's safe to say the bulk of the market in the green. I'd say 90-10, green over red. Zoom in, and that's good considering yesterday was the polar opposite. As you can see on the weekly chart here, yesterday on the daily was very similar. And zoom it out on the monthly, virtually everything in the green. 95% of the market, pretty substantial gainers across the board. We're so back. And checking out the Crypto Greed and Fear Index, today again, 74 greed, Divine Omen, 7 plus 4 is an 11. And then yesterday was a 74. Another Divine Omen, which is an 11. And guess what Max Keiser's bullish scenario is for this cycle? 2.2 million. That's 1.1 million times 2. Just saying. Happy 11/11. And checking out the infamous time chain calendar. Today we're on block number 897,431. We have 152,569 blocks into the halving of 2028. And as of today, you can exchange one fiat monopoly dollar for 953 sats. So you know what to do. You pick up the sats, put down the gas, and pick up some Bitcoin caps from my man Sergio over at bitcoincaps.net. But anyways, yeah, let's dive into our TA as well as the latest here. The headline reads, Bitcoin bull market almost over. Traders split over the Bitcoin price at 105. And we're on the cusp of reclaiming 106 at the time of the live stream. Here you're looking at the 1 hour chart. Bitcoin saw a rebound from a 4% dive at the May 19th Wall Street Open. That's right. This morning we were in the red. We were as low as like 102, and here we are. In fact, I think we may even touch in the 101 range. But so TradingView showed Bitcoin passing 104.5, up 2.5% on the day, and currently about to reclaim 106. Now, opinions differed about when or if new all-time highs would come. Personally, I think this is the big week, but you guys let me know your thoughts in the comments. Quoting analyst Rat Capital, this is exactly what Bitcoin needs to be doing. Needs to hold 104.4 as support. Check to position itself for a successful post-breakout retest. Game on. Now, Dan Crypto Trades flagged 102 and 106 as the levels to watch, above and below the spot price. Quoting them here, these mark the local range low and high, and the price has been trading within these for the most of the last couple of weeks. Keep an eye out for the clean break below either of these. Thus far, price has not sustained above or below for more than a day. The area above 106 was also on the radar for on-chain analytics firm Glassnode, quoting them here. Bitcoin price surge stalled just below 106.6, a level with 31,000 Bitcoin held at the cost basis. This supply cluster originated December 16th and remains unshaken. Hodlers haven't redistributed, nor averaged down, making 106.6 an important level to watch in the short term. And ironic, we're not too far from 106 at the time of the live stream. Now, a renewed warning, meanwhile, came from fellow trader Roman, who considered the weekly time frame to be no longer in the bull's favor, quoting him here. Not a good case or close, as we rejected resistance, created more bearish divergences, and have pumped with the low volumes. Stochastic RSI is also top, which is the relative strength index. Too many bearish signs to ignore, and it is why I have been continuously saying the bull run is likely almost over. However, want to know what the whales have to say to that? Trader James Wynn, just in, who has an open 499 million Bitcoin long, just said, the volcano is about to erupt. Bitcoin is about to explode. It will be violent. Send it. So, of course, there's always going to be bullish and bearish analysts. So just to give you some genuine perspective from both sides. Another analyst is calling for 116,000 this week. I think that'll be easy peasy. Granted, we do break the current all-time high 109.3 and re-enter price discovery. I also want to share something I found interesting. Brad Garlinghouse was venting on X today. He wrote, and for those that don't know him, he is the CEO of Ripple XRP, heading to DC to champion sensible pro-crypto legislation around stablecoins and market structure. And I am very encouraged to see our elected officials look at crypto as it should, a multi-chain industry. That said, Senator Lummis, as chair of the Digital Assets Subcommittee, canceled a meeting with me and won't reschedule. And then he just goes on to gripe on how he is disappointed. And Corey Bates nailed it here. That's because Senator Lummis has integrity and you're a bad actor. Let's not forget all the Bitcoin FUD spread by Ripple. So I think more power to Cynthia Lummis. And Max Keiser actually responded to this. I'm going to read you his response. Senator Lummis is right to avoid shitcoiners exit scamming the American people by dumping pre-mined XRP garbage on unsuspecting noobs. And there you have it. Take that, Mr. Garlinghouse. Now, also there's speculation of Ripple XRP putting in like a $10 billion bid to purchase stablecoin issuer USDC. And I also hear there's a bidding war between Ripple Labs and Coinbase to do so. So just wanted to touch upon that. And pulling up some of the live charts, we'll do a little live chart action Jackson satisfaction for the broskies. Looking at the live chart on your screen, this is brought to you via TradingView, via Coinbase, the largest crypto exchange in the United States. This is the 1 minute chart. We did a pretty awesome pump watch last night. We went for like 10 hours, but let's zoom it out a little bit and work our way backwards, starting with the 1 hour chart. The 1 hour chart, as of last week, we started to see this very bullish scenario, bullish pennant target of 116. It's still in play on the 1 hour and the 4 hour, which we'll get to next. So that's very lit. Obviously, 109.3 is the current all-time high achieved all the way back on January 20th, which was Trump inauguration day. We also have a blue interim target here, which would take us to all-time high, sexy bitty blackjack, 110 or 110.5, I should say, and very bullish momentum also here on the hourly chart, recapturing the losses from this morning after the correction. And obviously, we got the legacy markets all just opened here today. And zooming out, let's go to the 4 hour. And very similar bullish pennant formation sensation, green bull scenario. Also a bullish pennant sitting at 116, very similar to on the 1 hour chart. And you can see this morning has been a pumpy pump. 3 consecutive green candles printed, which we love to see. And zooming out a little further, we'll take a look at the daily. And the daily chart says, it's going up forever, JV. That's right. So as you can see here, we do have a red target. in play on the daily chart, which is, again, price discovery just shy of $112,000. And zooming out a little further, we'll take a look at the weekly. We just got a weekly close yesterday on Sunday, so we'll see how we're looking. And it was strong, which is a beautiful thing. Check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 green consecutive candle closes. That's virtually a month and a half of pure bullishness, which is pretty good considering Q1 after we topped out at the all-time high was very corrective, but the bulls have resumed here in Q2, and we're in the thick of it right now, and this is the most bullish time of the 4-year cycle, which is the year preceding the halving. We're roughly 11 or 12, or actually 12 or 13 months. It was back in April of 2024 when we had the halving, and history shows us we always hit the cycle peak the year preceding the halving, somewhere 12 to 18 months out. So we have like another 5-month window if history is to repeat. And zooming out from the weekly, and we do have the cup and handle target in play there at I believe $124,000. We'll zoom it out one bit further. Checking out the monthly chart. Thus far for May, bullish. We love to see that. Last month was a bullish candle close, and the previous 2 months were corrective. But you guys let me know where you feel the Bitcoin price action will likely take us next. And I'll read your comments out loud. But here's the latest of what's going on. The headline reads, Strategy adds 7,390 BTC for $765 million and gets hit with a class action lawsuit. That's right. Strategy, formerly MicroStrategy, a top corporate Bitcoin holder and the first one to put the Bitcoin on the balance sheet as a publicly traded company, acquired nearly 765 million of Bitcoin last week. Why so bearish, Michael? The purchase came as the company faced a class action lawsuit. According to the May 19th announcement, Strategy acquired 7,390 Bitcoin for 764 million at an average price of just under 103,500 per biddy. Strategy reported a Bitcoin yield of 16.3% year to date. Strategy Executive Chair Mikey Saylor made his usual hint at the purchase in the May 18th post, which we covered on yesterday's pod and called it, "Never short a man who buys orange ink by the barrel." That's the Giga Chat for you. And according to the May 19th filing with the US SEC, the company was also the recipient of a class action lawsuit. The suit accuses Strategy officials of having failed to represent the nature of the Bitcoin investments accurately. As of the May 18th, Strategy now holds 576,230 Bitcoin. That's like probably roughly 3% of the Bitcoin supply, and they're not slowing down. And they acquired it for $40.2 billion at an average price of $69,000 per coin. That's a good omen right there. And at the current prices, the company's total holdings are valued at more than $59 billion, representing an unrealized gain of $19.2 billion. Tax that, or 47%. Not too shabby. And according to CoinMarketCap data, Bitcoin is obviously, we're now right back at around 106 at the time of the live stream after correcting here this morning. And in a recent SEC filing, the firm wrote that a purported class action lawsuit was filed with the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Virginia against the company executive. Now, Strategy Chairman Mikey Saylor, President and CEO Feng Li, and Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer Andrew Kang are all defendants in the suit. Strategy officials are accused of violations of Section 10B of the Securities Exchange Act of 1934, as amended the Exchange Act, and Rule 10b-5. Thereunder, Section 20A of the Exchange Act. The filing states the following: the suit claims that the named defendants made false or misleading statements with respect to and or failed to disclose information with respect to the anticipated profitability of our Bitcoin-focused investment strategy and treasury operations and the various risks associated with Bitcoin's volatility. Sounds like some haters just looking for a come up. I personally don't think this lawsuit will go anywhere, but what are your thoughts? Now, the synonymous developer at the centralized finance data platform DeFi Llama wrote on today, he believes the lawsuit has no basis. He explained that the suit seems to be people complaining that Strategy understated how much money it could lose if Bitcoin went down. Still, he argued that the risks were not understated. And what kind of an argument is that when Bitcoin's been outperforming everything and we're currently on the cusp of reclaiming all-time highs? It's kind of mind-boggling. You're buying a company that is self-labeled as leverage on Bitcoin. What do you expect? And I think this guy makes a great point. I think Saylor is very clear in his languaging. He's a Bitcoin acquisition company, and they're going to continue to be the largest buyer of Bitcoin, and that's precisely what he is. He lives up to the hype. Now, Strategy's Bitcoin Treasury strategy inspired other companies to follow in its footstep. Last week, as we covered, the luxury watch maker Tom Wynn, I believe that's out of China, surged more than 60% in pre-market trading after the company said it would adopt the Bitcoin accumulation strategy and then changed its name to Asia Strategy. Talk about copycats. Asia Strategy said that to implement its plan, it's partnering with Sora Ventures, which previously partnered with Metaplanet in 2024 to create Japan's first corporate Bitcoin treasury. Metaplanet now holds more Bitcoin than El Salvador. And speaking of Metaplanet, that's actually going to be our next story of the day. Now, another Bitcoin acquisition company birthed out of Japan, which is Metaplanet. Let's break this down. They're also in the headlines today, scooping up another 1,004 Bitcoin in their second biggest Bitcoin buy of all time. That's right. Japanese investment firm Metaplanet made the second largest single Bitcoin purchase ever, scooping up more than 1,000 Bitcoin as the crypto came within 3% of the all-time high. And all-time high is in play right now, fam. Again, we're floating at around 106, only 3,000 away. Metaplanet said on May 19th that it purchased 1,004 Bitcoin for a total cost of around 15.2 billion yen, which is 104 million USD, bringing its total holdings to now 7,800 Bitcoin, worth 807 million at the current market price. Now, they said their goal was only 10,000 Bitcoin for the year. I'm pretty confident they're going to blow past that goal, considering they're doing 1,000 Bitcoin purchases at a time, and we're only in May. We still got like so many months left out of the year. But anyways, it is the second largest purchase the firm has made following its buy 1,241 Bitcoin for 129 million back on May 12th, in a move that pushed its Bitcoin holdings above the country of El Salvador. That's right. They officially hold more Bitcoin than El Salvador. Metaplanet has the largest Bitcoin holdings of a public company in Asia and is the 10th largest holdings amongst public firms globally, according to Bitbo data. The firm reported a first quarter Bitcoin yield of 95.6%, which is mind-boggling, and a yield of 47.8% so far in the second quarter, which measures the ratio of percentage change in the Bitcoin holdings per fully diluted share. So if Metaplanet buys just another 301 Bitcoin, it would surpass Galaxy Digital Holdings, which is currently in the 9th spot with holdings of 8,100. Mind-boggling. Now, as we just referenced, Michael Saylor's strategy remains the clear leader in terms of corporate Bitcoin holdings, with 568,840 worth almost $60 billion at today's prices. Metaplanet has been much more aggressive in its accumulation of the asset in the recent months, with 2,800 scooped up just this month of May. It made 4 purchases last month in April, totaling 794 Bitcoin, and 6 purchases in March, totaling 1,655. Notice they're ramping up the Bitcoin buys. That's right. Meanwhile, Michael Saylor hinted at another Monday purchase. Well, of course, he just made the official announcement. And I think all these purchases from these companies are only going to continue to, get larger and larger as the Bitcoin global hash war continues all around the world. There's virtually new Bitcoin treasury companies being birthed every day, it feels, because we report upon them. And now we have not only these corporate companies racing to stack Bitcoin, but you also have countries around the world, such as the United States of America now, that Trump signed the Bitcoin executive order. Obviously, El Salvador have the first mover's advantage, first one to adopt Bitcoin as a legal tender. Now countries like Panama, as the dominoes continue to fall. Then we have the state race. For example, New Hampshire, the first one to get approved for the strategic Bitcoin reserve and to put it on the treasury. And now there's like 40 other states in the United States looking to do the same thing. And the dominoes are falling in real time as a beautiful thing. And you have to really consider none of this existed previous cycles. This is all brand new. So this is unprecedented time. So to speculate, could Bitcoin really 20x from here this cycle? Not saying there's a guarantee. There's no guarantee in life. However, it has happened before. I've witnessed Bitcoin rip from 1,500 to 20,000. And then in 2020, people forget. After Novid, Bitcoin dipped to 3,500. And within 1 year, from March of 2020 to to March of 2021, Bitcoin was 60,000. So Bitcoin went from 3,500 to 60,000 in a single 12-month period of time. Not saying there's a guarantee that that will happen again, but if history is to rhyme, we're at the right place at the right time. It's game on. But next story of the day, this is actually an interesting headline, caught my interest, probably be interesting to you as well. And here's what it says. Bitcoin may kill the Satoshi. And this is according to Jack Dorsey, sparking some controversy in the markets. That's right. We all know Bitcoin's smallest unit is a Satoshi, and one Bitcoin can be divided by 100 million sats, aka Satoshis, and is suddenly on the defensive after blocking chief executive Jack Dorsey publicly endorsed scrapping it in favor of calling every indivisible integer of the network simply Bitcoin. On Sunday, the former Twitter CEO reposted a remark by Grubbles and added his own assessment that sats are so confusing to people just getting into Bitcoin. Bits of Bitcoin is better, or just Bitcoin is best. Let me know if you agree or disagree with that. Personally, I don't think it's a confusing thing. If it's going to confuse somebody, it just means they're either, what's a nice way to say it? They're stupid or they're uneducated. Either way, maybe it's worthwhile to educate them on what a Satoshi is. My best way of describing it is just as a dollar is divisible by 100 pennies, one Bitcoin is divisible by 100 million Satoshis. Hence, sats. It's really not that confusing, but I digress. You let me know your thoughts. Dorsey's interjection came in response to Grubbles, who argued that sats are technically Bitcoin, so it is not incorrect to just stop calling them sats and just call them Bitcoin again. One critic replied that the discussion showed that people have nothing else to worry about. Exactly. To which Jack Dorsey shot back, I'm very worried about Bitcoin becoming money. It must. The immediate back, then why would you be against sats? Because people are more likely to use Bitcoin as sats as a form of money, in my opinion, because it's a smaller number and sats are becoming so expensive. Like right now, you can get like less than 1,000 sats per dollar. And before you know it, maybe it'll be like 100 sats per dollar. And if it's ever 1 sat per dollar, again, we're talking $100 million Bitcoin. The immediate backdrop is Improvement Proposal 177, introduced on April 23rd by Synonym CEO John Caravallo. The document would redefine the commonly recognized Bitcoin unit so that the Bitcoin base becomes a primary reference unit, eliminating the customary 8 decimal representation and depreciating the term Satoshi. Interesting. Internally, nothing changes. What users now know as 1 Bitcoin would display as 100 million Bitcoins. I think that's more confusing than anything. I don't want 1 Bitcoin to be confused with 100 million Bitcoins. So that means every whole coiner can say, I now have 100 million Bitcoins because Satoshis don't exist. To me, that's more confusing. Why change it now after 16 years? But what's your thoughts, guys? Now, he also argues that imposing the integer-only view cleans up education and user interfaces by exposing the protocol's true nature. Bitcoin's ledger represents values as integral base units. The decimal point is merely a human-imposed abstraction. Supporters say that ditching decimals removes the psychological hurdle that drives newcomers to cheaper looking alts, and that move resembles a stock split rather than a monetary debasement. Let me know your thoughts on that. Now, resistance has been fierce. Corey Clipston, Swan CEO, and someone else here, Michelle Weekly, they all warned that multiplying apparent supply from 21 million to 2.1 quadrillion Bitcoins would sow chaos. I agree with them. I don't want the supply to be known as 2.1 quadrillion. It sounds like lizard folk are behind this, if you're asking me. I'm kind of shocked that Jack Dorsey would be a proponent for that. Weekly counters say people understand cents in a dollar. They will understand sats in a Bitcoin. Exactly. That's exactly the metaphor I break down to people. You could think that Bitcoin abruptly crashed from the current price of around 100,000 and that supply is massively inflated. Precisely my thinking, if we're going to replace sats with the term Bitcoin, it's just going to cause chaos. Trust me, Peter Schiff would be like, I told you guys, you can't trust it. You guys thought it was scarce, and now they just print, you know what I mean? Imagine the FUD running rampant if they were to change that to a multiple quadrillion supply. So I'm not a fan. Let's just stick to what we know. 100 million sats is a Bitcoin. And let's just keep it that way. But you guys let me know your thoughts, read your comments out loud. Let's dive into our next story of the day. We've got a couple of more to share with you. Next up, we're going to be discussing the institutional inflows, which are back on the rise, and then the latest from Bitcoin, Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, and a Bitcoin bill coming out of Panama, and the latest from the High Priest, Your Holiness, Max Keiser. And then we'll do some live Q&A, and we may flip this mofo into a pump watch, just like we did yesterday. Headline reads, U.S. crypto funds top $7.5 billion of inflows in 2020. As the investor appetite continues to grow. That's right. Crypto investment products within the U.S. attracted $7.5 billion worth of investments thus far this year, with a fifth week of net positive inflows last week, signaling growing investor demand for digital assets. And ironically enough, the past 6 weeks have been bullish for the price action. That's a great reflection. U.S.-based crypto investment products attracted $785 million worth of investments just last week, pushing the year-to-date total to $7.5 billion, according to the May 19th report by CoinShares. The latest figure marks the fifth consecutive week of net positive flows, following nearly $7 billion in outflows during the February and March months. And as you can see here, the United States accounted for the bulk of the inflows with $681 million, followed by Germany at $86.3 million, followed by Hong Kong at $24.4 million, as outlined right here. Now, check it. Investor demand for the risk assets, such as cryptocurrencies, staged a significant recovery after the White House announced the 90-day pause on additional tariffs, which was on May 12th, marking a 24% cut from import tariffs for both U.S. and China. The day after the announcement, Coinbase Exchange saw almost 9,800 Bitcoin, worth more than $1 billion, withdrawn from the exchange. The highest net outflow recorded thus far this year, signaling that the institutional appetite was accelerating, according to the Bitwise head of European research, Andre Dragoch. That's right. Meanwhile, Ether was the top performer amongst crypto investment products, attracting $205 million worth of inflows last week, bringing its year-to-date total to more than $575 million. The report attributed the $200 million to the renewed investor optimism following the successful Petra upgrade and the appointment of new executive director. His name is Thomas. Now, after the initial delays, Ethereum's Petra upgrade went live on the mainnet May 7th, introducing improvements such as higher staking limits and account abstraction via EIP 7702. And by contrast, Solana investment products were the only major asset to see a net outflow. Take that. And with 890,000 withdrawn over the past week. Meanwhile, Ethereum co-founder Vitalik published a proposal to preserve trustless, censorship-resistant access to Ethereum, aiming to make Ethereum Layer 1 scaling more friendly to users running local nodes for personal use. Quoting Stella, Nexo Dispatch editor here, the plan would drastically reduce the 1.3 terabyte data burden by allowing nodes to sync only relevant information, opening the door to broader participation. And if you don't know, now you know. Now, also another interesting quote from Vitalik over the previous weeks was he was complimenting Bitcoin, wishing Ethereum was more like Bitcoin. Well, unfortunately, Vitalik, Ethereum is nothing like Bitcoin, is never going to be anything like Bitcoin. You change the protocol for starters. It once was proof of work. Now it's proof of stake. And number two, guess what? You have an unlimited, infinite, maximum supply of tokens. So what difference is the US dollar from Ethereum? In my perception, Ethereum is virtually the US dollar on steroids, the digital version, the programmable version. But yeah, it can never be used as a store of value. Completely different type of technology, obviously. But what are your thoughts? Ethereum was trailing, not performing well. It hasn't even recovered from the previous cycle all-time high. Back in November of 2021 is when we hit 4,500. Today, it's 2,500. It's 2,000. It's almost 50% less than the previous all-time high. And I'll give you another example. XRP hasn't even recovered from its two-cycle previous all-time high. 2017, XRP hit like $4 and something. Right now, it's $2.30. So a lot of the top cryptos haven't even recovered from previous cycle all-time highs, which ultimately means Bitcoin's outpacing even the top altcoins. So for what it's worth. ETH is a terminal decline, pretty much C-list. I have family in Argentina. Let's go. Germany is not the sharpest tool in the shed. Not the sharpest marble, eh? Bitcoin is hope. Amen to that. Powerful quote there. All right, fam. Now for our feature story of the day. Panama introduces a bill to allow citizens to buy, sell, and accept Bitcoin freely anywhere in the country. Bitcoin adoption is sweeping the globe. Let's go. Let's break this baby down, shall we? Now, shout out Max Keiser. He wrote here, the Max and Stacy effect going global. Panama introduces the Bitcoin bill. El Salvador was just the beginning. Latin America for the win. Now, check this out. My understanding is this guy right here is the Panama City governor, and Max and Stacy were just recently seen orange pilling him, and he is also going to be speaking at the big Vegas event next week. You already know Max and Stacy are going to be featured speakers at the event. I think they're going to make a massive announcement. Also, 1 week from today, this handsome couple, Max and Stacy, are going to be at the Bitcoin pre-kickoff party for the event, hosted by the Bitcoin Sports Network. I know many of our fam here are going to be there. So if you're looking forward to meeting Max and Stacy, I'd encourage you to go there. And you can see Panama talking about it right here, introducing a bill to allow citizens to buy, sell, and accept Bitcoin and crypto. There is no stopping the Bitcoin train. That's right. So let's dive a little deeper here. Panama City might be on the verge of taking an important step and becoming a Bitcoin pioneer. The mayor of Panama City, Mayor Mizrachi, has awoken speculation from part of the crypto community. And let me make sure I'm sharing my screen. Yep, I am okay. After a cryptic post, meeting with known proponents, Max and Stacy, Mizrachi assessed that this meeting was only the beginning of great things to come. After posting the Bitcoin reserve earlier, Max also referred to the meeting, stressing that the city will be gearing up to employ its hydroelectric resources to mine Bitcoin. El Salvador's geothermal and Panama's hydroelectric will power the Bitcoin revolution, according to Max Keiser. Now let's actually go to his X profile, and I'll give you all the latest updates from the high priest. Make sure you're following his account here on X if you're not already. He also has other accounts such as BitChrist, Toxic, Max Keiser, Max and Stacy Golf. Of course, make sure you're following Stacy, Huddle House Studio, and many other accounts as well. Show some love for the high priest. So yeah, man, I mean, check this out. This has been true for 20 years. Russia wants to do large-scale trade with the United States. Trump wraps up what's called with Russia's Putin, who says Moscow is ready. Some of the geopolitics going on there. Let's see what else we got here. Now, if you're not familiar with the Cocoa Max, it's the official drink of El Salvador. I got to experience it firsthand when I was there back in January. It's a fantastic drink, by the way. Make sure to get some if you've never had it. As shared right here, there's an increasingly high demand of the delicious coconut and espresso combination, the caffeine for the bloodstream. Max calls it the Cocoa Max, El Salvador's finest beverage for the most toxic Bitcoin maxis. So if you're a Bitcoin maxi, you'll really enjoy the Cocoa Max. It was my favorite drink at the event, just FYI. Now, shout out Sergio. You can see him producing some epic Bitcoin caps for the Bitcoin Sports Network, which is the pre-kickoff event. Of course, I mentioned earlier, Max and Stacy are going to be there. It's 1 week from today, next Monday. Love the new caps, Sergio. And if you're looking to cop one of these Biddy exclusives, his direct website is bitcoincaps.net. And cop yourself one of these. And shout out Max for reposting, of course, the live stream. Always appreciate that. That's the reason we have close to 5,000 people here live and in the flesh. Max also wrote here, President Bukele is a change agent ripping the old system apart. He is a millennial on a mission ready to save the world as the fourth turning picks up speed and wreaks havoc. Armed with nearly 1 billion in Bitcoin and the second highest Bitcoin per capita in the world. And that was off the back of Bukele's tweet 2 days ago. Feel that? The system splitting at the seams. That's right. Unplug from the matrix, stack the biddy, and let's get it. Now, quoting Matthew Siegel, Bitcoin is like a nuclear reactor that has been installed in our balance sheet. Brazil's first Bitcoin treasury company, Chairman Israel Salman on the conference call. Come on. Obviously, Brazil is, I think, the largest South American country, and they have a population, I believe, of over 200 million people. Imagine getting a full-blown Bitcoin strategic reserve out of a big country like that, with hundreds of millions of more people adopting Bitcoin. Game on. Now, Max, as I mentioned earlier, he tagged Senator Lummis and wrote, it's right to avoid the shitcoiners exit scamming the American people by dumping pre-mine XRP garbage on unsuspecting noobs, in reference to Brad Garlinghouse griping publicly that Cynthia Lummis canceled the meeting and won't reschedule it. Just a sign of the times. Stacy's laughing Fuck around, find out. Ripple tried to trick President Trump into establishing a shitcoin reserve to dump Brad's pre-mined bags onto the American taxpayers. Now Ripple has found out. Well said. You don't change the biddy changes you. That's right. And as they wrote here, Max and Stacy effect going global. Panama introduces Bitcoin bill. El Salvador was just the beginning. Looking forward to the band at the big event. And of course, you already know, very exciting times. I'm going to read you one more here. El Salvador may be small, but it moved with conviction. While others debated, it acted. Bitcoin rewards clarity. Bitcoin rewards time. That's a fact. And by the time the world catches up, El Salvador will already be free. First isn't just a position, it is a mindset. And if you don't know, now you know. Panama bill in the works. Strategic Bitcoin reserve. Latin America taking over the world. Bitcoin standard. Geothermal, hydroelectric, Bitcoin mining. Welcome to the revolution. And with that being shared, welcome everyone to the Q&A segment of the live stream.